Hello Canada, welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias the guy. Well, they caught the guy. And the world found out by none other than President Trump on Fox. We're going to dabble into this, but I want my viewing audience to understand that the reason I'm showing this is because Charlie Kirk's passing has just opened up the window, well, not the window, the roof on what is really going on around the world. And we're seeing it here in Canada. A lot of weirdos and like psychotic people are exposing themselves for the violent fascist ideologues that they really are. Well, even our government. Now, I'm going to link this whole Charlie Kirk thing, as always, right into Canada. And I'm going to expose some things that nobody's talking about, which is why I created the channel, to expose propaganda and get the truth out. Sorry, so sorry, just the truth, just the facts. Now, our own government, and of course media didn't say anything, but our own government actually changed the law, giving them the right to lie. I'm going to show you the paperwork right from the Government of Canada's Justice Laws website. I'm going to throw the dates down and everything. It's all right there. And as always, I always post all the links in the description. I'm not mainstream. I am here to expose and educate and just get what Charlie was trying to do, an open conversation, not violence, in order for people to really understand what's going on. This is a global thing, people. This isn't just Canada. What you're seeing in Canada in the last 10 years, the complete demolition of what was once a great nation, is happening around the world. And it's all the same people that are involved in it. Yeah, Carnage Carney, which we're going to deal on in another episode. I was going to actually start exposing some of his conflicts of interest, which I will get to, and how they're linked to this map and a bunch of the companies that were exposed in these leaked documents in the takeover of Ukraine. These guys are all in it for profit. They're trying to steal the resources of countries around the world. And like I've exposed Brookfield and Carney for doing in previous episodes, and which his new 5 top priorities in order to get Canada moving, well, 3 of them are linked to him, and one of them is making him very, very wealthy. And just so happens to be one of the companies that's going to be picked after the war is all done in Ukraine to go in and steal their minerals and make mass profits, probably off the corpses of our children and the backs of our taxes. Now, let's get into Charlie Kirk and let's just break down the lies and the fascism that has taken over Canada, starting with Donald Trump releasing the breaking news.
Yesterday, you were at the 9/11 memorial. We were all watching that. And J.D. Vance was supposed to be with you. He went out to be with Charlie Kirk's family and to get the body back to his hometown in Arizona. And you said you were going to award him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is very nice of you. Any updates on this suspect?
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued, and we all don't get sued, and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. You know, it's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But I think we're in great shape.
Mr.
And
President,
he's in custody.
Your suspicion was that he was radical left, and now you have more information. What can you share with us about his ideology?
Yeah, Lawrence, let me just, and by the way, Lawrence is doing a good job. What's going on here?
Job. Yeah.
Mr.
I'll tell you what, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
I said you were going to do well. Yeah, I think that I don't want to go too far. I'd like to tell you some stories at how it happened, but essentially somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens when you had some of those good shots. Somebody is going to say, whether it's a parent or whatever, I'd rather not say right now. They're going to announce it today, sometime later, probably talk about that. But somebody close to him turned him, they said, whoa. It's interesting where we had very good pictures, but not great, not perfect. And when you look at it, what happened is somebody, and this happens a lot. It happened with the crazy Boston bomber. It happened with others. Somebody that's close recognizes even a little tilt of the head, which nobody else would do. And somebody that was very close to him said, that's him. And essentially went to the father, went to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, by the way. And the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister. And brought him to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic. And the father convinced the son, this is it. And again, I'm always subject to be corrected, but I'm just giving you, based on what I'm hearing, they'll give you a much more active. I just heard about it 5 minutes before I walked in. As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted. So you have breaking news, don't you, huh?
Thank you.
You always have breaking news, Ainsley.
Right.
Sean's going to be very disappointed that we're not doing it on his show.
He'll be very thankful and appreciative of the
I think
police
so.
officers that got this
I
guy.
think they did a great job. Everybody worked together. Pam Bondi is incredible, by the way. People don't know what a star she is. She's incredible. And it all worked out.
Can I ask you just some clarification? So a pastor was able to turn him in, or they got the family of the shooter to turn them in?
Well, it was a minister, and the minister went to a minister who was involved with law enforcement, by the way. And his good friend is a top U.S. Marshal. And they took it from there. And then it was a father got involved, namely his father, and said, we got to go in. And they, so I understand it. And again, subject to change. But, the facts are the facts. We have the person that we think is the person we're looking for. But they drove into the police headquarters, and he's there now.
Did the father know about what the son had done?
I don't know. I'm going to let you get all those questions later, because I can't tell you how accurate. The bottom line is they have somebody that they think did it.
Well, there you go. That was the breaking news. Now, let's get right into the release that happened right afterwards. Now, listen carefully, because there's a lot to this. We're going to break this down, and of course, we're going to do what I always do and just kind of weave this right into Canada and how this mass psychosis, this indoctrination, has affected our own nation. And it started from the top down. It started from the federal government down, and all of the people who have infiltrated that party and created the cult liberals that we have in power today. Listen carefully.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there's been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I will share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this?" ? Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist!" ! Catch! ! Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow," and a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement across the state who's worked seamlessly together, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and our federal partners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We're grateful for everyone who worked together in...
Okay, so now, in the midst of me breaking this down, I was sent a video. And, well, I'm going to show it to you because this guy does a fabulous job. And I went through what he was saying to fact check as well. And he's, from what I could tell, absolutely correct. Now I'm going to play this entire clip because I think he breaks it down very well. And this is information to which obviously not a lot of people are privy to. Now I have, like I said, I went through this and I tried to fact check it. There are still some things I can't really find. A lot of the social media sites and stuff have been shut down, obviously due to the investigation. But hear him out.
So here's what we know about the alleged assassin of Charlie Kirk. Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old college student, was turned in by his father after confessing to him last night. His dad apparently is a 28-year veteran of a local sheriff's department. What appears to be a rather conservative family. His mom posted on her Facebook page celebrating her son's achievements in school. Apparently he had a 4.0 GPA, scored a 34 on his ACT, an incredibly smart, incredibly intelligent, yet radicalized college student. So there was a press conference this morning where the governor of Utah and the FBI director gave us a little bit of detail. And for the first time, we started to hear about the investigative steps that they've taken, including talking to the alleged assassin's roommate and seeing messages that were being shared on a Discord server. Radicalized messages that the description indicates that they could have been pulled from any number of social media influencers and left-wing accounts on this platform. The same exact hateful rhetoric. This guy hated Charlie Kirk, and he hated the messages that Charlie Kirk was spreading across college campuses. But on top of that, they also, for the first time, gave us an actual description of the inscriptions that were carved into the casings of those rounds. So I decided to go out and look up each one of them so you could understand exactly what he was trying to say. I don't think we found a manifesto yet, but the inscriptions on these casings are a manifesto. They were a message, and you need to hear it.
Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices bulges, capital OWO, what's this question mark?"
So if you're like me and you have kids in this generation, sometimes it's hard to understand exactly what they're saying based on the language that they've created. But here's what Grok told me that inscription means. This is a direct reference to an internet meme and furry fandom culture, specifically the noticing bulges trope. In online communities, noticing bulges is a humorous or satirical phrase often used to mock or highlight perceived physical traits, such as a bulge in clothing, implying male anatomy. And it goes on, it says, OWO is a popular emoticon from furry and anime subcultures, representing a wide-eyed, surprised, or aroused expression. It's often paired with phrases like, "What's this?" to feign innocence or excitement about discovering something unexpected. At some point, this kid stumbled upon an online community where he started learning about anime and furry subcultures.
Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist!" exclamation point, "Catch!" exclamation point. Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols.
Now this is where we start to learn about the real motives. The symbols draw from anti-fascist, Antifa, and historical resistance iconography, particularly the 3 arrows motif, originating from the Iron Front, an anti-Nazi paramilitary group in the 1930s. It goes on to say modern Antifa movements have adopted and adapted it as a symbol of anti-fascist resistance, often simplified 3 down arrows or diagonal arrows to represent smashing fascism. The up and right arrows may represent directional or emphatic elements. The up arrow could signify rise up, a common anti-fascist rallying cry, while the right arrow points literally rightward, mocking or targeting right-wing politics. And if you go back and watch that press conference this morning, you're going to find out that the governor had described what he was wearing when he showed up on campus. He was wearing a maroon t-shirt, not the black t-shirt that had the American flag and the eagle on it. And if you've been paying close enough attention, you'll know that one of the things that Antifa has been communicating to their foot soldiers is when they do things like this, they're to dress like MAGA, to blend in, to try to convince the American people that these are MAGA supporters that are pulling these things off. He was not wearing that black t-shirt with the American flag and the eagle on it, which, by the way, is a veteran supporting t-shirt, when he showed up. And yet, when he allegedly assassinated Charlie Kirk and was caught on camera fleeing, suddenly he was. That's the Antifa uniform now.
So I'm going to cut him off for a second here. What a lot of the DOJ down in the States, as well as American policing system, has found, especially with the help of Doge, is how they were using money in order to fund, through back doors, trying to hide the money from taxpayers and very wealthy people like Soros to pay these organizations to brainwash the youth. They actually paid them to go out and burn and hurt. They teach them how to hide their identities, how to use the law in their own favor to protect each other, how to use dark money and spread it to all of these different organizations, how to hide organizations from being exposed to being linked to other organizations. All of this is being done with government money and the global elite who control governments, like our government here in Canada, which I expose so often. And if you're a new viewer, check out the previous episodes. What's going on in Canada is a global phenomena. It is a global takeover. They are using fear, hate, and division and injecting chaos in order to have democracies crumble. They don't want us to sit down and talk and move forward. They don't want any truth to get out there. This is why I constantly am being suppressed and censored. I don't censor myself. I will try sometimes to use little words, but I won't baby it. I believe in free speech. If you do, make sure you like, share, and subscribe and help break the algorithms and the censorship that the Canadian government has forced upon a lot of these social media outlets. And don't forget, a lot of these social media outfits have also been taken over by these leftist. And now these people, what they fail to see is that they're being taught that what they're doing is anti-fascist, when in actuality they have become the fascists themselves, which is what this guy is alluding to. We'll get back to this.
A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao Ciao."
As soon as I heard about this inscription, I knew exactly what he was trying to convey. This is a clear reference to Bella Ciao, the iconic Italian anti-fascist partisan anthem from the World War II. The song, meaning "Goodbye Beautiful" in Italian, was sung by Italian resistance fighters against Mussolini's fascist regime and Nazi occupiers. And it goes on to say that it has been received in modern anti-fascist movements, notably as the theme song in the Netflix series Money Heist. This series is about a group of anti-capitalist robbers and symbols of rebellion. The FBI has already linked this to anti-fascist ideology, noting its use and protest against figures like Charlie Kirk in the past. Folks, there it is. That's the manifesto right there. He carved it on the rounds that were meant for Charlie Kirk and the American people to understand exactly what he was doing and why he did it. So here's what.
Now he's bang on the money. Like I said, from everything that I've looked into, he's on the money here. Now this I have had conversations. I had teachers reach out to me again, previous episodes, and I already knew that this was in the schools. And now, thanks to social media and the fact of different mechanisms that are available to us, people can't hide what they say, the videos they post on any of these social media outlets. They can't hide it because there's different mechanisms like the Wayback Machine, which I use often. They are coming out of the woodwork, and really you get to see who they are. We're going to dabble into a couple websites that are exposing this, but now the Canadian part of all of this is really, it's quite substantial, and you can see it firsthand. And I could go into almost every single state-funded media, every single propaganda arm of our government. I'm going to show you one clip, and like, our media is so compromised. You got to remember, they want chaos. This is why they changed the rules. This is why we have a revolving door. And then they use any which way possible through propaganda against anybody who tries to speak out. And of course, you've got to be a racist. You've got to be a right-winger. The whole right-wing conspiracy that they're the issue is complete bullshit. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't a few out there. There are a few. But the majority of everything we're seeing, all the chaos, all this bloodshed is coming from these indoctrinated people. The reason that they do and are what they are is because of propaganda. It's the media that stirs them up, that passes false news, that accuses people. It marginalizes anybody who's close to their faith. It insults, demonizes, and degrades anybody who speaks out against the fascist system we now live in. Now I'm going to play this clip. Listen carefully.
What concerns does that raise for you?
Yeah, I've had a little bit of time to look, and it is very disconcerting what we're seeing, especially from from Trump and his supporters as well, where they are calling him a martyr. There are some in online spaces that are calling for further violence, retaliatory violence. So I really fear that this will lead actually to an escalation, as the left in particular is vilified in many of these narratives, and quite explicitly in an ex-post comments by Trump from Trump yesterday, which really did put the blame soundly at the feet of the left and of liberals, and by extension Democrats as well.
Can I just pause you on that, because I was going to play an excerpt from that message. It was direct, sort of a video message that he recorded in the Oval Office, and began to sort of calm the waters, or at least to speak out in condolences, but then it really did swing very quickly back to political discourse. Let's listen to that, Barbara, so everyone knows what we're referring to, and then we'll talk about it further.
It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible. This is what's given rise to some today, Barbara, saying they're concerned about payback or additional political violence. Again, what is your reaction and concern about what that presidential message may indeed incite?
Yeah, it really irks me, and it really does concern me, because it's very much in line with Trump's politics of vengeance, if you will, punishing the enemies. We've seen it from Trump in terms of job loss and investigations and mass arrests and deportations, that sort of thing. But there's also the hypocrisy there, I think, that feeds into the rhetoric, right, where he's talking about the polarizing rhetoric and the vilification, which is very much, laid at his feet in terms of exactly the language that we're seeing there. The language even that Charlie Kirk uses, vilifying particular groups, talking about the Democrats, for example, as, and I quote, standing for everything that God hates, claiming that, queer people are defective and dangerous and should be executed. I mean, that's sort of polarizing language that contributes to this environment, this loss of civility, and encourages violence directed towards the enemy, whatever the stripe. And we are seeing this from both sides.
Everything she said is a complete lie. Charlie never once said that. Prove me wrong. Find a video. Good luck. You won't find it. It's not out there. This lady should be fired. In fact, she should never have had her position. Now, this is from Cosmin Zurza. I can never say his name correct. This is what he posted as: liberal government-funded anti-hate professor Barbara Perry falsely claimed on CBC that Charlie Kirk called for the execution of queer people. That's a lie. Perry has made a career peddling a secret list of, now I've seen this, 300 far-right groups in Canada. Where's the list? Where is it? It's funny, the left loses it. They burn cities to the ground, hiding their faces. Politicians raise money in order to get them out, using purposeful judges who have been given positions through people like Soros, as well as the governors who got funding from Soros and the prosecutors, Soros, in order to get them out of jail and use our own institutions against us. They burn cities to the ground. Where's the far right, Barbara? They're holding vigils, prayer services, moments of silence. There has been no violence. None. Zero. Nada. This is propaganda. This is why you have people doing what they're doing to Charlie Kirk and others. It's fomegating. It is purposely disturbing a pile, creating hate. And now we've seen this in Canada. We've seen it. There are people out there that actually still believe the Freedom Convoy had firearms. We're trying to take over the government. We're violent. None of it has been proven. Zero video evidence. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Till this day, they will refer to the Freedom Convoy in negative ways in order to perpetuate, in order to keep the narrative going. Fear, hate, and division. This is fascist ideology. This is what our state-funded media has become. They don't care about you. They don't care about your freedom of speech. They don't care. All they care is pushing the narrative for the existing totalitarian government we have in power. They don't care. They're going to keep doing what they're doing. This is why I need you to like, share, and subscribe. Here's the actual video. No video clips. No sound bites.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Now, Juno did a great article. Now, I support real news agencies, real journalists, and Juno is definitely one of the top. This is why they're one of the fastest growing media outlets in Canada. CBC defends hate expert who claimed Charlie Kirk called for queer people to be executed. So the CBC hosted a hate expert, Barbara Perry, during a live broadcast who falsely claimed that Kirk called for those actions. In the wake of the assassination of conservative activist and commentator Charlie Kirk, the CBC is defending its decision to host hate expert Barbara Perry during a live broadcast who falsely claimed that Kirk called for queer people to be eliminated. Perry, the director of the Centre on Hate and Bias and Extremism at Ontario Tech University in Oshawa, Ontario, was platformed by the CBC as a hate expert to analyze the assassination of Kirk during a broadcast Thursday morning, one day after Kirk's murder. Perry used the moments after the suspected politically motivated killing of Kirk at Utah University on Wednesday to raise concerns that leftists could face vilification following the attack. She also claimed that Charlie Kirk called queer people defective and dangerous and should be exterminated, which there is no record of him ever doing. Carrie Kelly, the spokesperson for the CBC, stood by, having Perry on as a guest, and told True North Perry's claims were in reference to Kirk's stated opposition to what he called the LGBTQ agenda. Now, it goes on and on. This is a great article. On Wednesday, the state broadcaster posted a Reuters article about the shooting. The article on a conservative leader shooting concluded by referencing 300 politically motivated violent acts since Trump supporters attacked the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Juno does a great job. I'm going to show you a clip. You want to see how bright Charlie Kirk really was?
So I'm particularly concerned about your brand of Christianity. As a Christian myself, Christian nationalism I do not agree with at all. I think it's antithetical to the values of the early church. And I think, how do you reconcile especially white Christians in this America, marrying politics and power with their faith in this country?
There's a lot there. I've never described myself as a Christian nationalist. So I'm a Christian and a nationalist, so I've never used those two.
And then right there, that and nationalist, where in the scriptures does a Christian...
Well, thank you. Jeremiah 29:7, demand the welfare of the nation that you are in, because your welfare is tied to your nation's welfare. Let me continue. Daniel fasted and prayed for his nation. Esther and Mordecai cared for their nation. They were counsel to the king.
Right.
Nehemiah, Jeremiah, Joseph, Jacob. I could keep on going. Moses, Aaron. In fact, Moses was so political that he wrote an entire book of the Torah all about how to set up a government. It's the book of Deuteronomy.
Hello.
So, in fact, the Bible is an explicitly political text amongst many other things.
Now, can we interpret those texts in the light of the revelation of Christ? Because you just cited all Old Testament texts, but you have not once cited St. Paul.
Okay, yeah. If you want me to also, by the way,
Yes,
just so we are
cite St. Paul about the kingdom of heaven and the
time
governance.
out. Just so we're clear, do you think that the New Testament is greater than the Old Testament?
It is. It is
Oh,
greater
whoa,
because
whoa,
the
whoa,
revelation
whoa.
of Christ dictates how we interpret
See that-
the Old Testament.
So you think that all of a sudden, like Genesis 1 is not?
Now, I have read every single religious text I can get my hands on. Dead Sea Scroll, you name it, I've read it. Torah, I've read it. I've read them all. I was brought up Catholic. Not to say that I'm not a religious person. I have many roots, many different parts of me who, over the years, through searching not only propaganda, which I've studied for decades, but understanding my heritage and all of the wrongs and injustices through time that have affected my family and brought me to where I am today. And I have, in all of that research, learned that historical texts, the best historical texts we have, are all of the religious doctrines, are all of the papers, scriptures, carvings on walls. They're there as historical texts. Pretty much every single religion, almost all of them, they all come down to the same fundamental principles. And they're the things that they're trying to teach in order to stop chaos and make us better. Charlie Kirk knew this. He was a very devout Christian. This guy knew his book. He knew it well. And he also knew that it was changed over time, manipulated, in order for those to take power and control the masses. They cherry-picked. They removed certain things they didn't like. They did it on purpose. Just like governments change laws to protect themselves, which we're going to expose.
Not as great just because of the New Testament?
The Old Testament was a type and shadow of the things to come, and now we live in the full revelation of Christ.
Yeah, that
So it is by definition
that is such
lesser.
a dangerous theological.
That's not true. That's Christological
Stop.
theology.
Hold on. Of course, I believe in the resurrection, but to all of a sudden say that, like, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, is like somehow in like lesser because of the revelation of the New Testament. Christ even said, "I did not come to abolish the law of the prophets; I came to fulfill the law." In fact, he said all the laws of the prophet hang on the two teachings, Leviticus 19 and Deuteronomy 3-5. However, to use a New Testament example, as you asked, it says in 1 Timothy, "Pray for your leaders in authority by name, that they
That's
might
great.
make
That's
righteous and great
wonderful.
decisions." I'm going to continue. Christ our Lord said, "On this rock build my" what?
Church.
Wrong. Ecclesia. It's not the word church.
Oh,
the word
English
church.
translations of Common Bible say church, so my bad.
Well, actually, it should.
Bingo, he just exposed it. Now listen to the truth.
Because the original Greek term says, "On this rock build my government structure." Ecclesia was a secular word used in that time, which was all about the advancement of freedom and liberty, which are the two words in Greek, eleutheria and isonomia, which are the two words there. So the point being, Christ called us to be salt and light. We as Christians should change the environment that we come in contact with.
I
That's
agree
what
with that.
salt and light do. So why should we then not care about changing government to be more Christ-like?
These were the things that made me a fan of Charlie. Now, I just wanted to show that, to show he was brilliant. Now, again, I didn't agree with everything he said. I agreed with his actions. I agreed with what he was trying to do. He was trying to end violence. He was trying to open up dialogue, and in doing so, expose the truth of what was going on behind the scenes. Now, to Canada. I'm going to show you right on the Government of Canada Justice Law's website what fascist governments do. And we're going to take particular note on the date in which this was altered. So take a look This is the Government of Canada website. And as always, I post all the links in the description below so that you, my viewers, have access to this. This is what mainstream hides and has been hiding and constantly hides because they don't want you to see it. And this is why we have a fascist government still in power today. Section 181, spreading false news. Everyone who willfully publishes a statement, tale, or news that he knows is false and that causes or is likely to cause injury or mischief to a public interest is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years. Now, do you see the date that it was changed? 2019, 06/20. What was going on during that time that the Liberals needed to change and remove this law? Well, the Winnipeg lab leaks, amongst a whole pile of other atrocious things that our government has done, in which I talk about and have exposed on previous episodes. This gave them the ability to do what they do today, to do what they do since 2019. Now, here is where we sit today. From 2019, repealed. There you go. This is the fascism I keep warning Canadians about. This is what Canadians need to see. This is what Charlie Kirk tried to expose. Now, not this paper, but he was doing it in his own country. He was trying to, through debate, with the use of social media, to inform people and to have a conversation about the extremists that were taking over the nation. This is what President Trump, Doge, and the alphabet policing of the United States has been exposing, in which Canada has no ability because we've allowed them to go so far. We have allowed the Liberals another term. They are going to keep moving forward. This is their agenda, to silence the truth at any means possible. This is their goal. We have political prisoners. We have people fleeing the country for their own safety. They will not show this to you. It's right there in plain sight. Do you remember this?
When did the CDC get more questions? Yesterday. Yes, after they had already told it to you because you threatened to sue.
Inside the media room, they turned democracy into an absolute zoo.
Answered. Because of you, we can't ask questions on behalf of the public. Because you wanted to have a media circus, Ezra.
And when they couldn't get us kicked out, the commission caved to their pressure and canceled the post-debate scrum on the second night altogether, punishing every accredited journalist just to keep Rebel News and other independent journalists from doing our jobs.
The post-debate scrums were dominated by right-wing media groups who flooded leaders with questions on topics unrelated to the debate. One did ask Carney if he felt Trudeau was a good prime minister. Carney said that he was and that they have shared values, including taking care of Canadians, reconciliation, and equality.
Congratulations, Ezra.
That deadline is April 22nd.
I'm Michel Cormier, the Executive Director of the Leaders Base Commission. And I'm sorry to announce that there will be no scrum tonight with the leaders because we don't feel that we can actually guarantee a proper environment for this activity.
And now, thanks to 88 pages of internal emails obtained through access to information, we know a bit more about why it happened and a lot about what they're desperate to hide. In fact, these people sent about 11 emails per day about little old us. The emails show CBC's anchors and executives weren't really acting like journalists. They were acting like lobbyists, actively lobbying the Debates Commission.
Well, there's only so much we can do to control free speech, you know.
Now, here's what the documents show about CBC anchor David Cochrane. Cochrane emails the commission on April 22nd, a week after the drama. The subject line trail shows him writing at 10:20 a.m. The body, of course, is wiped under Section 68.1. That's the journalism exemption. But I don't think he was doing a story a week later on what went down at the debates. CBC editor-in-chief Brody Fenlon immediately sets up a private call with David Cochrane. He says, "Hey, David, can you and I chat one-on-one? Can we talk at 12:30? I'll set up a video call." Interestingly enough, Brody Fenlon puts his pronouns in his email signature. Commissioner Michelle Cormier replies directly to Cochrane. The substance is redacted for some reason. And he says, "Dear Mr. Cochrane, sincerely, Michelle Cormier, Executive Director, Leaders Debates Commission." Now, it just wasn't Cochrane lobbying the Debates Commission. Rose Marie Barton writes the commission the morning after the debate. "Dear Mr. Cormier and other members of the Debate Commission," with Cochrane and Fenlon CC'd, and the meat is redacted again under Section 68.1. Fenlon forwards Barton's note internally to senior CBC Radio Canada brass. CBC Chief of Staff Kenny Yum is active across multiple threads on the issue. He says, "Hello, we got this inquiry," and then the details are masked with blocks withheld under Section 68.1 and Section 21B. That's third-party commercial information. And now, what did Commissioner Michelle Cormier do in all of this? Well, he went on CBC and badmouthed us.
Well, there's only so much we can do to control free speech, you know.
I understand that.
And understand that?
But, lifeguards got to look after the pool, right? And the debate commission was set up for this. And people are now calling for it to be completely scrapped because of what we saw last night.
And instead of defending fairness in these emails, he thanked the crazy liars at the CBC for their quote-unquote professionalism.
Now, I'm going to clip this below. I can play the whole thing. I'm running out of time here. You notice all the redactions? I was with them on this, exposing this on episodes, showing what was going on. We are going to continue seeing this until Canada gets its shit together. Again, this goes to what Charlie Kirk's his whole idealism was, is that we need to have freedom of speech. We need open debate. Without it, you will have violence. And in order for us to expose the truth, be it either side, we have to be able to share information openly. Like I do, posting everything in the description below. You need the world to see, in my case, my country to see what is really going on. Political prisoners? Oh, we have those. Today, in court, Brendan Miller is representing at Chris Barber 1975 family, his son and his parents, who are the legal owners of Big Red, after securing only 3 convictions out of 13 and 3 years after the Freedom Convoy. The prosecution office took it upon themselves to make an application for forfeiture of this Canadian symbol of hope. In doing so, they dragged his family into it. After being challenged on several issues with their application, some regarding jurisdiction, the Crown suggested then perhaps they would head to Saskatchewan and pursue other legal venues to obtain and destroy Big Red, should Her Honor rule in favor of today's summary dismissal application. They do the same thing. They're doing the same thing here that's going on in the United States. This is why I'm using Charlie Kirk in order to get this out. He is the perfect martyr in order to expose the reality of what's going on, not just in the United States, but around the world. It doesn't end there.
I am being criminally investigated. I just received the letter from the government. from the Office of Canada's Election Commissioner, informing me that I'm being investigated for my reporting during Canada's 45th general election. The stories in question detail the alleged history of Thomas Keeper, someone you probably know of by now. He's the now fired Liberal candidate for Calgary Confederation. Juno News worked diligently to ensure the accuracy of what we published, and nothing then or now undermines its truth. We went above and beyond to ensure that we were reporting facts that were in the public interest. We not only gave the Liberal candidate, Thomas Keeper, chance after chance to answer very troubling allegations, he refused. I even hand-delivered an envelope with our questions to his office, and instead of responding, he called the police on me and lied, accusing me of assault. Now, the entire encounter was recorded, caught on camera, and the video makes it abundantly clear that his allegation was false, and within hours of our publication, what do you know, the Liberal Party fired him. Some Conservatives wish that we had waited, that our newsroom had held the story until after the nomination so that Keeper would be stuck on the ballot after the nomination deadline, and it would secure the seat for Conservatives. But journalism is not about party strategy, it's about informing the public. During an election, no less, and that's what we did. Now Mark Carney, he's furious, and he's using an authoritarian law implemented by Justin Trudeau to investigate me for the crime of reporting news that...
Carney is the general. The turd, the governor turd, was a puppet. This is why you are seeing absolutely nothing get done and the green agenda being pushed upon Canadians. The absolute lunatic cult who are brainwashed. We are living in the most anti-science, anti-democratic, I don't even know how to explain it. Well, look at me. Look at all of these other independents. Constantly censored. They don't want people to know the truth. They don't want it. But guess what? There's a petition out there. I'm going to make sure we share. Thousands have signed a parliamentary petition to make fibbing politicians pay a political price. A Toronto man wants to make honesty the best political policy by passing a bill that would hold members of parliament more accountable for telling lies. Federico Sanchez has initiated an electric petition to the House of Commons proposing legislation that might make politicians think twice about being economical with the truth. In an e-petition, the e-petition urges federal politicians to put forward a bill to address the issue of perceived and actual misinformation being presented by MPs to the public. The petition, which is working its way through parliamentary process, says misinformation is a growing threat to a democratic process and a mechanism is needed to verify MPs' public statements to maintain trust in Canada's governing body. The e-petition must gather 500 or more signatures to receive certification for presentation to the House, which opens the door to formal government response. Sanchez's petition, which has more than 8,700 signatures as of Tuesday, closes on November 27th. I urge you, please, share this petition. Share it out there. Get people to sign it, especially after I just showed you how the Liberals removed the law holding them into account, which is why they're still in power today. And not only protecting them, but protecting the propaganda media. We get censored. They don't. They lie. They share falsities. They push narratives. We're in big trouble here, Canada. Big trouble. Here's the petition. I will share it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe my channel as well. And others like Juno, who are amazing media outlets that are just trying to get the truth out. Non-biased. Just the truth. Sorry, so sorry, just the facts. It's crucial. Now on to the insanity that Charlie Kirk has exposed. And what is really going on. There's this great website, charliesmurderers.com. This is where I've shared a lot of what has been sent to me. So it makes it easier because I'm going to spend an episode and I'm going to point these people out. Starting with this lunatic who CBC had hired as a fact checker. She was like, oh, and then complain, oh, I got fired because of this right-wing extremist. This person has serious issues. She has been brainwashed, and she is low IQ. I hate to have to say it. She's not a very smart person. Terrified to think how far-right fans of Kirk, aching for more violence, could very well turn this into an even more radicalizing moment. These are like, see, she's even posted worse. This is one of her fans. Charlie Kirk is like this is just crazy. Jeremiah Farmer, Clark Kennedy. It goes on and on and on. These people are these people are insane. Now, a lot of these are American, but a lot of them are Canadian. The people in the States have taken action. A few in Canada have as well, but not serious enough. This is why we need to share what they are writing. To write, call, send letters, do everything you can to these people's bosses and expose them. This is what Charlie Kirk has given us. The ability to finally shine a light on these haters, these real fascist people. These are people, they don't care about you. It's all about their ideology. It never ends. The list goes on and on. Here's what I'm going to play. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to play this. I'm sorry. I don't believe in censorship. I believe I should have the exact same right as CBC. I believe in freedom of speech. This is why I get censored. This episode will be smashed again. I can watch it. I watch it happen in real time. I watch subscribers disappear. I watch people who comment get eliminated. I watch the likes and my views go up and then down. It happens on every video. Every single episode I do. This is why I need you to like, share, and subscribe and get the word out. And watch it. You can see it in real time. It happens. I've even commented on a couple where I'm literally in the middle of doing something and I'm watching the video in order to do a comment to somebody and I'm watching the viewers go down. You don't take away views. They're there. But censorship does it for a reason. They don't want people to have the truth. Sorry, the facts. They don't want the links in the description getting out there. This is Legal Aid BC. Today, I call on Attorney General Nikki Sharma to investigate and remove employees of the publicly funded institutions such as Devin Cassidy, who openly advocated political violence, and to seek the maximum accountability allowed. Listen to this.
Charlie Kirk got shot and he's dead. Finally, somebody with a gun, which is almost everybody in the fucking States, grew a pair and fucking went and shot somebody on the right side. Thank you. Can we keep this up, please?
This is only one of thousands of Canadians that have now exposed themselves. And thank God for the Wayback Machine and other great tools that we have at our fingertips. They can't run. They can't hide. We need to expose these people. And if we do, and we get them removed from these positions, we can remove the indoctrination that's happening to people like the young man who removed Charlie Kirk from existence. This is what needs to be done. This is why I am talking about Charlie Kirk and using him and his voice and what he really stood for. We need to have an open debate, and we need the ability and the freedom to share this so people can see. Somebody, somewhere, will see this video and go, wait a minute, wait, what? She was my this person is psychotic. We need this, and we need her to be held accountable so she can never be in a position of power again. Canada has become so unscientific. We have crushed debate. We have crushed freedoms. We have censored every possible outlet, person. They have targeted individuals we are living in chaos because information can't get out, because everything that Charlie Kirk stood for is being, well, shut down. And the media is on a rampage right now trying to cover their trails. Now, I'm going to end this with just one more fact. Now, please help the channel grow, especially if you're a new viewer. Like, share, and subscribe. Not only will you not miss future episodes, it does help to stop me from being censored. It helps to grow the channel. We need to get independent media out there. We need the truth to get out there. No more of this propaganda. Ready, ready, ready. Get the ball. No more of this. We can stop all of this insanity from happening by just using the power each one of us as an individual has. Promote the truth. Stand up for who you are. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Be who you were meant to be. We have it in us to be able to sit down and talk, to debate. Only then can we better our society. Not like the government we have in power for the last 10 years with the new general at the helm, not changing anything, being propped up by propaganda, crushing Canada for their own power and wealth. I'm going to leave you with this clip. Stay informed.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is using yet another Trudeau-era law to censor you and to censor Canadian companies while he pretends he's different. The Liberal oil and gas censorship law, hidden in Bill C-59, rewrote the Competition Act to make it nearly impossible for Canadian businesses to speak about their environmental accomplishments and about their innovation, about their world-class environmental stewardship, unless they echo vague Liberal talking points. This Liberal censorship law gives Liberals the power to slap huge fines on Canadian companies if they go against Liberal ideological anti-energy talking points. It targets Canadian producers, manufacturers, and energy developers who fail to meet the Liberal values test. Canadian companies and workers now operate in fear that if they speak out, they'll face massive fines. That uncertainty drives investment out of Canada and straight into the United States. In fact, it's already happening. Canadian companies have already taken down environmental references, updates on their environmental work, and news about their environmental innovation from their websites in fear of being fined by the Liberals. Business leaders across Canada have also sounded the alarm. The Canadian Chamber of Commerce called the Liberal oil and gas censorship law unnecessary, and Alberta's Business Council warned it will kill Canadian business ambition and innovation, as if we need more government policies that do that. Now, when I was a kid, I loved the nature of things, but David Suzuki does spread false imagery and smear campaigns against Canadian energy development and Canadian energy workers. So these Canadians in BC stood up and fought back using the very changes Liberals made in Bill C-59 to expose Liberal anti-energy talking points. Instead of encouraging Canadian leadership, innovation, and investment, the Liberal oil and gas censorship law lets the government bankrupt Canadian companies that don't echo their anti-energy plans. The reality is the Liberals punish world-renowned Canadian energy industries that lower emissions, create jobs, and power our communities right across the country. Also, they can virtue signal globally to their anti-energy friends and elites. That's why Conservatives will repeal the Liberal oil and gas censorship law and defend your freedom of expression for people, for businesses, and for all Canadians.